Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm super excited to geek out with you today, and we're going to be learning about the boring JavaScript stack, which I don't really know much about. So I have an amazing guest, Kelvin, who is going to be taking us through what we're going to be learning today, and we're all going to learn together. So don't forget to drop your questions in the chat. Check out the GitHub repo in the description below, which we'll share in the chat throughout the live stream. But before we get into that, let's shout out my guest, Kelvin. Please give yourself an intro, and then we'll say hi to people in the chat as well. So Kelvin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eddie. First of all, that was one in
Oh, we lost Kelvin for a moment there. You froze. Not a good start to the live stream. It is Sunday though. Right, while Kelvin's coming back. Oh no, you're back.
okay.
Kelvin, you're back. Back over to
Yeah,
you.
I don't know what happened there, but it's cool. So yeah, like I was saying, amazing intro. We'll just vibe into it. And I'm Kelvin. I am the lead maintainer of Sales.js and also the creator of the boring JavaScript stack. I have been doing open source since like 2018. I love to build stuff with JavaScript, do a lot of writing and what people will call content, but I don't like calling it content creation. So I just share everything I learn online so everyone else could learn along. Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Thank you
mean,
for having me.
creating content is hard, but documenting our journey is easier. And I love how you do that. You just share what you learn with everybody. And I think that's amazing. You take everyone on the journey with you. So thank you so much on Sunday for joining us. And a big also shout out to the people in the audience who are joining us on a Sunday. I see we have Aridam, Lennox, hopefully I pronounced that right, Himank. Again, hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm so bad with names. I'm so Olivia. You have to tell me how to pronounce her name. I think that's the second time I've kind of got that wrong. Have to tell me how to pronounce it. Nishant. But awesome for having you here, and they like your home office, Kelvin. So that's great. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
thank you.
good. Well, without further ado, let me bring your screen onto display, and let's learn today on this Sunday. So over to you.
hmm Yeah, for sure. So I was just testing things, when you're going to do a demo, the demo gods. So just saying is this thing working? So I think a good place to start will be here, right? So today I'm just going to demo to Eddie the boring stack, which is something I'm crazy about. I have been using it like 2 whole years before I made it public. So the stack
Wow.
is this, it was extracted from salescast.com, literally, and it enables anyone that uses it to build single page applications, or like I like to call them, web applications that can be both single page apps for the whole interactive UIs of your app. And you could also be just static SSR, right? Like just the good old, make a request, your server side template, do all the magic, then send back HTML. But what makes the boring stack shine is that unlike a lot of meta frameworks, maybe Next and Noxt, the boring stack sort of really hold true the architecture of the web, which is client server. All right. So most times we tend to do too much on the client or too little on the server, and then we just have this world of problems we bring. But the boring stack is very server centric. It starts from the server, gives you routing, gives you a very robust MVC web framework called Sales, and then you could bring your front end framework, so React, Svelte, or Vue. I'm a Vue developer most of the time, but with the boring stack, you can choose to use any of these three UI frameworks. And then the cool thing is you use the part of the framework that actually lit your eye up. Because I saw a tweet today, which was kind of interesting, where someone was bashing Vue, but what I took away from it, right, was he mentioned that he really likes GXS. And that's true. So the DSL of GXS is really good for people who like it. And when I think about frameworks like React and Vue, most often people don't really care too much about the reactivity thing more than they care about the DSL. So sometimes I think what people like is not Next.js, but React's GXS, right? So the boring stack sort of like bring you to that part of React you really like. If you like React, giving you JXS without the extra flops and with a lot. So I am going to show this. So I like starting here. So who is it for? First of all, why the name, right? Like, of course, why call your thing the boring stack? So, so I think the idea of boring technology is really so old, and the whole idea is what should be exciting should be what you're building. Like my problems are already too hard that I don't want the framework I'm using to add their own problems. I just want it to stay in the background and make me awesome. All right. So it's just boring, stable, and predictable. So it's very hard to see predictable tech these days. So for these technologies that I've been able to like piece together, they're very predictable. It's like, it's like pure. Like you can bet what's going to be the output almost every time. And so I will link to this. And I say boring tech is good because it's stable, it's tried. Sales is more than 8 years old, maybe 9, 10. Is stable, is tried, is tested, is stable again, because stability is very important. Like, who wants to be woken up in the middle of the night and be like, that feature you pushed yesterday because you updated the new version of your framework is broken. And then you have to go check their docs and because it's new feature. So definitely not every part is documented. But this one is very stable, very predictable. Right. And I love it. So I think what should be important to you, Eddie, I'm thinking you are a React person, right? Yes, yes.
I am now-ish. I started off with Angular, and I really love
Oh.
Angular. So
Mhm.
for me, I think Angular is great. It's a full-on framework, which I only got into React when Next.js came out. So I didn't do React before that because I really didn't like the library style of things. So I'm interested to see how
Oh,
this
nice.
goes. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you're an Angular fan, you definitely would like the demo in Vue because Vue templates was
Okay.
influenced by Angular. And so you feel
Awesome.
right at home. So yeah. So this is what you get in the stack. So for people who like Vue, React, or Svelte, you pick any of the right. So use Tailwind because Tailwind, I feel like, is the perfect way to style application on the
I
web.
agree.
You could
Tailwind's
quote me on
amazing.
that. I know people hate it, but I like it.
I
And
love
Boris,
it.
like, yeah, it is amazing. It is. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, I love it too. So we use Tailwind for styling. It comes out of the box. You don't need to set up anything. Just go right to Tailwind classes and you're good. Then we use Inertia. So Inertia is what brings all this magic together because before Inertia, if you want a single page application with your custom API, you have to do like api.eddie.com. Then eddie.com is your SPA. Then your SPA will make Ajax requests to your api.eddie.com. Even though you don't need the API, even though it's just a web app that needs to talk to the API, right? But this is the classic way of doing things. But with Inertia, you have both the SPA and the API all in one. So you have your single page application the way you want it, but with a backend routing already. It's just beautiful because things like loading spinner becomes a thing of the past for most of your pages because the page will load with the data it needs because everything comes from the server. It's beautiful. Then of course sales. So most times in most framework, you get to do a lot of things where you need third party. For example, authentication, they'll tell you, go use maybe like NextAuth or something. Authentication comes baked in sales. We have OAuth with
Nice.
Sales Wish. Yeah, we have an ORM, which these days I feel like we outsource too much to third party. But Sales comes with a first party waterline ORM, which lets you do any database you want. MongoDB, Postgres, MySQL, and I'm working on a SQLite adapter as well. So, and we have WebSocket
Nice.
support. I won't demo that because we don't want to do real time today. But WebSocket is baked into Sales. It's at the ethos of Sales because the maker of Sales, Mike McNeil, wanted to build real time application. So WebSocket is like primary first party in Sales. So it's beautiful. Then of course we have file uploads, shell script, and mailing. All these Sales give you because it's a robust backend for your apps. All right. So all that talk all gone. I think it's time to show me the code. So yeah. So well, do you guys like dark mode or light mode?
It depends what it is. For me, it depends. I see we got Krish in the chat. Also, welcome, Krish.
Okay.
He's probably more dark mode. For me, my VS Code dark mode, 100%. GitHub
Okay.
light mode, 100%. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's just GitHub
Okay.
in
So
dark mode for me seems really strange.
okay. So I will go dark for VS Code because I have this automatic setup where in the day is all light mode for me, then at night is dark mode. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I find that it works for me. So this is what I'm going to do. I already. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave here I will demo based off the template. So the boring stack ships with the Melo template, which should give you authentication, authorization, and all that jazz. So what we could do, we could start from a fresh clean slate. So if you're getting started with the boring stack, all you have to do is nps create sales. Right, and you could give the name of the project. So let's say edit stream view, for example. Then you pass in the UI you care to use. So let's say we're using
wait a
Vue
second.
today.
Sorry, I
So
think
once-
I've got our
yeah, go
faces
ahead.
over the screen. Let me move us to the side. Here we go. Sorry, I've moved us to the side because you're at the bottom of your terminal
Okay.
rather than the top. So sorry. You did
that's
npx
Yeah.
create sales eddy stream view hyphen view. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So this is just like the, for the power users, but you could just run npm create sales. It will prompt you to create to choose the directory you want to create a project in and also pick a UI framework. But as a power user, why not? So I could do cd edit stream view. Then here I could run let me open this in code. Hopefully it opens in the right window though. It opens in the wrong one. So I'm going to put it here. And I'm also going to toggle this to dark mode. Yes, we're all happy. All the folks on the dark side. So I'm going to run npm i, so because I didn't install anything. So it just scaffolded the project, but you could run npm i to do that. So while it's doing that, I should walk you through the project structure, right? Project structure, very important. So what you have when you, I don't know if this is big enough though. Should I?
Does make it bigger. That's better. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So this is what you have. So API, everything in API is more of like, it's your backend of your application. This is your api.ed.com normally, right? But now it's all in one project. Then everything in assets, JS, right? Pages are your pages.
Okay.
Right? And you could see, so .view file. So for those who are writing React, this will be your .jsx. For those who are writing Svelte, this is your .svelte file. So, and so let me show you a page. So let's say, for example, we have this index page. This is already set up. So we could build our own page, which is very important. So I think what I should do is to start from the genesis of every web application, which is the routes, right? Because when people go to visit edit.com, they are visiting the /route, right? So how do you set that in the boring stack? Unlike other meta frameworks that have file-based routing, I dislike file-based routing for dynamic application because it gets so machine-like when you want to do dynamic web apps, right? Because you have to know the special characters and all that. But sales, we have a DSL in routes.js. And how do you assess that? So let me stop being a power user for today and be like a noob. So you come to config, then you locate the routes.js. This is where your routes are defined. I'm going to close that. So here, so one thing I like about sales, right, is that it's JavaScript. The more I write sales, the more I write JavaScript because there are no magic. So our routes is simple JavaScript objects. Literally, nice. That's what it is. So for our home route, for example, we have a get, right? So this is a get. So I tell you, okay, this match the get route with this action called index inside the home folder. So where is this coming from? So I have a little simple VS Code extension called Sailboat, which is installed now. So if you click on it, it will take you to there. But again, not being a super user.
Oh, we lost you for a second again. I think VS Code is the most popular code extension. Oh, you're back again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back. So I don't know what's up with that, but hopefully we could do this properly well. So like I was saying, your controllers, because in an MVC there's model view controller. The controller is what takes responsibility of mapping the route with business logic you want to run. So for the /route, we say let the home/index action be called when the user visits the home route. So if we check home and index, you could see our response type. So here we are responding with an inertial response. What this is saying is that, hey, once the user hits edit.com. Let's say we ship this to edit.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look for the page in our assets.js file that has the name of index.
Got you.
So if we check here, we have that page, right? We saw that page before. So we do assets.js, look at pages, and then we say index.view. Right? So that's what is happening. So yeah, that's literally what's happening. So we have the routes, which is the genesis of our request response cycle. And then we have the action, which handles the request. And then the action can say, okay, this is a page that will be visible to the user once they visit certain routes. And that page will tell the app to know what page to use by sending a simple object. The object will have a page and props. Optionally, props. Props is like values you want to get. So maybe you make a database call, for example, right? And you get like maybe all the users. You could pass it as props, which this component can use to render when you visit it. That's one. Any questions so far?
I love I haven't seen a traditional MVC in a long time. You're right. It's become MVVM and all these other kind of mixed design patterns, but it's great to see that because like you said, you can just, you can isolate things in the right places and there's none of that whole discussion. It's just, you can come onto a project and you're familiar with where everything should go because it's the project standard.
Exactly.
It's a true framework, which I absolutely love. So I miss those days. So it's great to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I miss them too. Well, actually I don't because I've always been here. But anytime I look at the NextJS, the audio meta framework, I'll be like, okay, what design pattern is this? Because you could do almost anything. And it's not really good for maintenance because familiarity is important for speed. So when a new dev comes to, because you could do literally anything in anywhere. So, but in like Laravel, Django, Rails, Sales, when I come, once you're familiar with how things work, you literally just know where to go because they're all going to always be like that. So yeah, I think so. So, so let's start our app. I think we should be done installing. Yes, we are. So if we do sales L, so we are pirates over here. So we have sales L, which is short for sales lift. You could optionally do npm dev. We have the command, but you could do npm sales, pro tip, sales L, and it's going to start your app at port 1337. Fun fact, 1337 is the elite. It's a nerd thing. It's set for the elite. So I'm going to open this up in CZ. So I'm going to use one browser for now, really. And let's see. Yeah, and demo gods. So let's see what went wrong here.
Are you using? Can you talk about some of the tools that you're using as well? Because someone asked about your IDE that you're using. It didn't look like VS Code, or is it VS Code?
Yeah, it is. It is a highly customized VS Code. Like a lot of you, I could share my settings.json, and you see it's very, very customized. It has a lot going on. And so let me see package.json. I think so. I think what I'll do, did I update this lately? NextJS 0.1. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna nix this. And I would use the actual templates. We're gonna go boring view.
No worries. While you're doing that, let's have a look at the chat. So you got Augustine saying hi, welcome. We've got talking about design patterns. Nishant says, I asked my professor about design patterns of Nux, and he gave a convoluted, unconfident answer. I think that happens a lot. I mean, a lot of people think design patterns is about UI, but they don't realize that there is design patterns at all different levels of the stack. There is the coding part, then there is the architectural part, there is the network part. There is just so many different design patterns. And I think, people need to I think there's a path that people go through. They start learning these design patterns, and they try everything they try and do. They try and fit it into the design pattern, and then they take it too far, I think. And then they just everything becomes an abstract of an abstract of an abstract, and it's just like, well, I just want to call this API, but then they've got like 9 files involved in it, and it's just gone like way too far. So I think it's about finding a balance, and that's where the experience comes in, because design patterns are important. But we can use part of a design pattern, or we could mix and match design patterns. There's a lot of overlap between design patterns as well. So one way to solve something, you could use 2 different design patterns, but there's pros and cons to each one. And I think that's why it's important for people to practice and play with them, and to understand them. Yes, but I see you've got it working, so I'll stop talking about design patterns.
Yeah. So to refund that a little bit, I feel like it was good intention for what the meta frameworks are doing, but from what I've seen online, in the bid to abstract too much of web dev, we sort of like created this black box that it works when it works, and when it doesn't work, no one knows why it doesn't work.
Magic. Magic-driven development, right?
Yeah. So it is weird. So anyways, I have the app running. So this is what you get when you run nps create sales -v, whatever.
Oh, we lost Kelvin again. He'll be back in a second. I should tweet that, magic-driven development. Or copy and paste. Driven development. What do you all think? Oh, Kelvin's gone for a bit longer this time. Hopefully he'll come back in a second. The demo gods are not on Kelvin's side today. He's had a few challenges. We're here to support him though. Don't worry, everyone. We're here to support. I haven't used Angular in years, but I do miss it. Okay. Oh, Kelvin's back. Perfect.
Yeah. Weird. So I was looking at the chat for the conversations. Sorry about that. I just have to switch network to make sure that probably this one is better. So I'm still good, right? Sound check? All good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. So this is what comes out of the box with the Boring Stack when you use the view. So I've not really worked on the React one yet to look like this, but what you have here is more than a counter app, because in most framework, when you start, you just have counter, you click a button and it increments. I wonder how that's useful to anybody. But just like in the style of Laravel and Rails, you have full authentication all in here. You could log in, you could sign up, right? And you could even do OAuth if you wish. Okay, nice. But just to show routing, right? Because if you look, it's not refreshing, right? It's like an SPA, it feels like an SPA, but there's all this MVC powered SPA. So what's happening here, right? Like I mentioned before, if we look at our routes, now I could go all pro because I've shown you all how to get to routes before. And routes. So if we come to, let's say, look at the login. So look at our login page. Our login page is gets, or login routes is get/login, right? And then, like I mentioned before, this action, which you define in API/controllers, then we have the name. So the controller is the name of the folder, and whatever .js file is inside is your action that maps to request. So now we have auth/view login. So what is view login? It's just basically, so this controller, this action just tell your app what page, what view component or JSS component to render. All right. So I'm going to show you something really cool. I could pass in props here. So this prop, so in terms of boundary, anything in action, we're in serverland. So let's name and let's do Eddie, for example, right? Okay. And if I look at the login.view page, right? Here, so this is a view component. So if you look at it, so we have our templates, which the world hates, but I love. If you look at our templates, so this should be familiar land for you if you like Angular. So this is all JavaScript. And of course, good old Tailwind. Who doesn't like a very long ass Tailwind? Judge me. So let's accept that prop, right? Because like I said, the magic of the stack is that you could send data to your components pages as props. So I could do classic view style things. I could do const. I could do name because we have name from props. I could do define props macro and just say, okay, name, and you just say this is a string because this is what we're expecting. So this is view thing. View is so beautiful. Then here I just want to display the name. And this is how we display. So you should know this, Eddie. So this is, I think this is the same interpolation from Angular, right? Correct?
Yeah, the double handlebars. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
if I remember correctly, it hasn't been years since I've used it, but it's all very similar. I mean, even in React, it's just single handlebars. It's kind of like it's like potato, whatever the expression is.
I like it. So with that, now we now have access to the name prop, which was sending from that page. So if I go back to here and I click on login again, we could see Eddie here. This Eddie is coming from the server, right? And so let's just say, so this is very, very, minimal, but we could say that we're getting maybe we do like get user or something from server. And this page is not going to need a loading spinner because it's going to load with whatever is coming from database, right? So it's just beautiful, all right? So let me show you how we do authentication, which is something I find that people pay money for these days. But, shades. But if we look at login.js, and we have classic simple session of Eddie. You don't need JWT because it's not separate apps. Nice. You use session, good old session that works. And with this session, very old school. And this is what's happening here. So this is waterline. So this is our model. So if you check, okay, no, don't go. Pro, wait a minute. Let's go. So if we look at API models, this is where you define your model. So if you have user model, you have account model or product model, this is where it's going to be. This model maps to your database. And speaking of database, Eddie, we didn't configure a database. So how come I can do that? So I can do that because sales don't want you to think about your database at the go because you don't know what database you're going to use. You don't know what your database needs when you're getting started, right? So by default, you could work as if you have a database because we have something called sales disk. So sales disk is going to save all your user model.
Oh, we lost Kelvin for a second. Nishant, we'll get to your question in a minute. It's a good question. Yes, they're definitely out of context. It is coming from the server. Hamang, doesn't matter. Learn one of them. You can always change later. I started off with Angular. Actually, I started off with other stuff way before Angular, and then more recently doing React. So do whatever interests you. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. So we're doing authentication, and we've done the routing, authentication, going quite good speed already. Oh, Kelvin's back. Perfect. Okay.
Kelvin is back. Kelvin is plagued by network. Don't worry, guys. I ordered the Starlink already. Sometime, if we're going to do this again, it should be good network. Yeah. So I was saying, right? So database is going to use. So sales key without setting up database. So this may make a development only database that you can use. Okay, that you could use and you don't have to set it up. It just works out of the box. All right. So back to the user login. Can you hear me, Eddie?
Yeah, you're back. We can hear you. So the built-in database sounds quite interesting.
It's my network
some places use SQL Lite and so forth. So yeah, it's good for development. Like you said, you're not sure what you want to use. Hopefully Kelvin will come back in a minute. Kelvin, are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, can you?
I plug in via cable when I live stream.
Yeah,
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Oh, yeah, I'm frozen. Give me a sec.
Oh, yeah. You're lagging for Krish as well. Don't worry. Live streams wouldn't be... it's good to prove that we're live. Nishant says Vue has an easier learning curve, but React is more popular. Yeah, check your local area and see what you like. Also Svelte as well, which is getting more and more popular too. Okay, Kelvin's still frozen. It's quite a good pose from Kelvin in that frozen position. How's everyone's Sunday going, by the way? Let us know in the chat. What do you got to this Sunday? Obviously, you're watching our live stream. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But also what you're doing before and after the live stream. And let us know. It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully you're getting some downtime. Oh, we lost Kelvin completely. Wow. Okay, now you're stuck with me. Just me. Kelvin will be back in a minute. Lennox seems to know sales quite well. Awesome. It helps you, a sales disc helps you develop faster until you're ready to set up a database, which I think is great because some people kind of choose the technologies even before they know what the project's about. So today is Sunday, right? Chris, you got me worried for a second. I had looking at the calendar. Yeah, today is Sunday. Okay. Turn on live stream mode. I go in via cable whenever I live stream. I just find Wi-Fi is just too much, like drop packets and stuff like that. Even when you're sitting next to like the Wi-Fi router, you're stuck with me. Yes. Yeah, we just lost our guest, Kelvin. He'll be back in a minute. He's having some internet problems. But Graham, thank you so much for joining. How are you doing? Graham, you're in my latest video. Only a small cameo, but that'll be coming out on Wednesday. So your GitHub profile will be making an entrance in my video. I hope that's okay. I probably should have asked you before I recorded the video, but I just gave it a small shout out, so I'm sure you wouldn't mind. No wired cable. I literally have like a 30-meter cable that I like take everywhere with me, wherever I'm traveling around the world, so I can plug straight into like the switch. Oh, Kelvin hasn't come back yet. Maybe he's doing a reboot. Let me just check my DMs and see. Nothing from him yet. Hopefully he'll be back shortly. Let's see. I can always share my screen and we can start looking at maybe sales in the boring JS. Or I can even show you the app that I built in NextJS yesterday about the trending, well, a bit today actually, the trending repos on GitHub. So that's quite interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll give Kelvin a few more moments. If not, I can maybe mention it because I can't teach you sales or the boring JS stack. It's something that I'm here to learn as well. Let's have a look. I'll just change your profile picture in Inspector in the browser and say it's mine. We need Eddie roasting Graham. I've reviewed Graham's on a live stream before actually, and it wasn't so much roasting. I think we found a bug, but it was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. So I think Graham should roast mine probably, but I think he has done before and found lots of problems in my profile, not very accessible. So UK edition. Okay. Oh, Kelvin, I think has come back. He's just loading. He's coming from, what was the expression? Coming from the back end to the front end. Let's see. Aha, you're back.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I went to get the fog cable.
Oh, nice. Good idea.
Hopefully it's better.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Any
don't forget to
questions
share.
so far?
Yeah. There was one actually about authentication.
audience?
Let me go back. Can you drop your screen? Can you share your screen again while I scroll up through the chat? So Nishant asks, are cookies and sessions tokens signed with the boring JS stack?
Mm-hmm. Yes, please. They are HTTP only signed cookies. Right?
Okay.
Yes. So no, don't do that. If you go to
Right, your screen's
config,
back as well. Perfect.
yeah. If you go to config and check session, you could see all the config you can do on your sessions. And you could see secrets, this will be generated for you, but I'm using the template, so that's why it's secret. But by any time you scaffold a new boring stack app, you have a secret which you can change. But only do this once, because if you change your secrets, fun fact, in production, you're going to log out all your users.
I have
right?
done
So they
that
have to log
before
in
as
again.
well.
Yeah, they have to log in again. So just so you're aware. So you change it at the beginning of your project, then you know you're good. So that's where it is. So I was going to explain the login flow. I think this is a good place to just, riff on a little bit. And one thing I want to show you, which you've noticed, okay, probably too big. You might be thinking, what is this style of authoring action? Because sales is based on Express, but we don't use the Express style callback handlers. We use something called machine, node machine. It's something that came out of the sales world where you have inputs and exit signals. So we created that to make it much more your action not to be tied to your request response objects or streams. So because in Express or in Next.js, you have, so for your handlers, you must have request and response as, arguments. But here you don't have that. We have inputs, we have exits. So your inputs, they map to, so if this is a post request, this is a post action that's going to handle a post request. So that means you could pass in stuff through the body. So you could define that and you could validate that, which is something I love so much. So this, you don't have to write validation logic in your action body. So like, okay, is this an email? No, you just tell sales, you know what? I'm expecting an email, property. Make sure it's a type string. Also, it should be email and it should be required. All this, normally you probably would have to use Zod or something or some validation thing, but it comes baked in sales and you have this out of the box. So all this logic, you don't write them. You just, set true false things. Just beautiful. Then of course your password. So this is for that login form, right? Then remember me. How many sites have you visited that this don't work? It works in the boring stack. Right? Because most times I click on the remember me thing and it doesn't remember me for some reason. But this one works. This one works. All right. So this is what I was talking about, the exit. So this exit is just like, okay, if it's success, that means, this is the required outcome we want. So we give it from a success exit. So here we have a response type of redirect. The response type redirect is that once we're logged in, we want to redirect the user, to maybe the dashboard or something. So we set that here to be response type redirect. I'll show you where we use it. Then if there's like a bad request, we have a response type of bad request, bad combo, user password or email don't match. Then we're using, await user.find1. So this is waterline land. So we're finding a user with the email. Okay. This is, I don't think most people appreciate this anymore, but this is a proper flow of authentication, right? So we find the email. Of course, we make it lowercase because, someone might just, have their caps lock on. So we're trying to be forgiving here. Then if we can't find the user, that means it's a wrong email. We don't have it on system. So we just throw a bad combo. So in sales, we return or throw responses, which is so beautiful. So if it's an error, we throw it. But sales know how to handle this. So it's not really a node error. It's going to throw as a 400 because it's a bad request. All right. So now we could pass in problem. So what happened to this bad request? We could say pass in an array, give it an object, then we give it a key. Any key you want, but just make sure that you use the same key you use here in your UI to show your errors and stuff, right? And so if none of this was triggered, that means we have the user on file. Okay, then let's check that password. So we have a helper in sales.helpers, password helper. We check the password. So your password are hashed, right? They're hashed already. So we just compare the hash on file with the password because this one, hashing is one way, right? So we just compare the hash and make sure that if it doesn't match, that means wrong password again. But we don't want to tell the user, right, that it's the wrong password. That means they will be guessing that, okay, I got the email right. So if he's a malicious person, they will just say wrong email or password. So this is security thing. Fun fact, side notes. All right. So if that works, then if the user click on the remember me checkbox, all we have to do is to increase the max age of the user. Where the heck is custom.remember cookie max age is coming from? It's coming from our config. Remember the config file folder. So look at config, we have custom. So in here, Sales is very configuration heavy. So here you can set custom config like the mask age of the cookie, your password reset token, time to leave, email proof token, time to leave, and anything you want to set, you could do it here. So that's where that one is coming from. So if everything works, then we will log ID in the session, and then we return the home route. Because we say for success, we want to redirect to somewhere. And the cool thing, you never have to write any of this yourself because it's all written for you.
This is on a vanilla project, so that's
yes,
that's great, and then they can customize it further.
Graham brings do whatever you want.
Graham brings up a really good point, but your line spacing in VS Code is massive.
Yeah, it's how I like it. Okay, it's how I like it. So this is how it looks normally. It looks like this when I code.
So you have quite big gaps between the lines.
It's still a lot.
Yeah, it's almost like double the line height.
I kind of like it this way. I did a config. Yeah.
If you like it,
the thing is, it's native to me. So when I push, it does. Yes, Graham, I like it. I mean, a lot of people don't like it, but this works for me. I just, there are no line numbers as you could see too. But like I said,
true.
Heavily customized VS Code.
Wow. Yes, you're right. There's no line numbers.
Yeah, and I use Vim in VS Code, Vim bindings.
Got you. Okay. Bulat asks a question, and it's quite a detailed question. So I think we could quite down a rabbit hole with this question. So we'll keep it kind of light touch. But the question is, what are the pros and cons of this stack over, say, Astro, for example? They mention, performance, capabilities, and features. I think the list is probably quite long, but what are some like high-level ones that you'd mention?
Yeah, so I wouldn't compare the boring stack with Astro. I use Astro for Kelvin.dev.
Okay.
But the part of Astro that I use, which is what Astro pitched to us when they first, launched to the world, was like, you use our .astro files, then in build time, when you want to ship to CDN, you have the HTML files, right?
Yes.
That's what Astro shine for static web pages. This is for single page application. So you compare this to Next, Remix, and Noxt.
Okay.
Because it's for dynamic apps when you're building like dashboards, you're building like a SaaS product. So Astro is more static sites. Right? Yes, because and one cool thing, one side note is I took the feature of Astro I like and gave it to the boring stack in terms of I called it so I could show you sales content. So where you could use Markdown and output.html file. So I found out that I had to do something like example.com for my app, then blog.example.com, and that would be Astro. But all I needed was just Markdown to be spit out as .html file. So, but with sales content, which you can use in the boring stack, I could do example.com/blog, which will now be my blog, and everything is one domain. So that is what I like about Astro, the whole Markdown to HTML. So it's not an apple to apples comparison. It's just more like, how does this compare to Next, Remix, Noxt?
Got you. Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. Any other questions?
People are still discussing in the chat your line spacing, so we'll let them carry on.
Are they discussing my line space?
Yeah, don't worry. We'll let them discuss it. It's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna discuss a lot. So what else do you want to see? I think one thing you should see. So have you ever been on, an application, you're logged in, right? And you're logged in, but when you visit like a page for the first time, you get this flash of unauthenticated content where you see the login and sign in button again. And then for like 2 seconds, you see your avatar. Yeah, that never happens here. I hate that stuff, but it never happens here because the authorization happens in the backend. So it never happens. If you're logged in, you will never see the flash ever.
Yeah, it was same with Angular.
Right?
Angular
So,
had that
and
whole
it
resolve,
happens
so you could
here.
resolve the data before the page would be displayed. But it was React that would
Yeah.
just show what it's got, and then it would go get the information and update the page. And like you said, it was quite nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like it at all. So how you see that is, so we have policies. So policies in sales are just God. So certain routes, you'll be like, okay, this route is for authenticated people. This route is for guests. So for example, you don't want a login user to go to your login page again, right? So you could create policies for that. And it's very simple. You just answer a question. If the user have a session, proceed because, okay, yes, they're authenticated. So they could do this action once this policy is guarding those routes or those actions. If not, redirect them to login. So this never touches the client. This find out if this user is the actions that should be protected by certain policies. So we do that in config / policies, this DSL. So the same, it almost looks like routes, but this is what's happening here. So instead of routes, now we have actions. So here we're saying every action in the auth controller should be protected by the is guest policy. So that means only users that are not logged in should be able to do this. To go to the routes that are protected by this policy. And also for / so the user's controller, every action in there should be protected by this is authenticated policy. Simple. That's it. That's how you do your middleware wrapped guard thing.
No, that makes sense. Kelvin, I'm keen to ask you some questions about being a maintainer, if that's okay. But people are saying that you're dropping in and out a bit still. So I was going to say, maybe stop sharing your screen for the last like 15 minutes. Then we can have a chat about being a maintainer, some of the challenges and stuff like that. If that's okay, what do you think? Perfect. Okay,
yeah, for sure. That works.
Let's do it. Okay, everyone, have your questions ready for Kelvin. Fire them in the chat. But I do have some questions. So, Kelvin, you have the Boring JavaScript project. That's your project, right? If I understand correctly.
Yes.
So that must keep you busy. And then you're also, you said the lead developer on Sales.js.
Yes.
Which has like, I don't know, over 20,000 stars. So how do you keep up with your GitHub notifications, I guess is my first question. I get a lot. You must get a lot more, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. So what I do is I sort of like time box when I want to check because I hate notifications, first of all. My phones are always on DND. And because I want to be able to interrupt myself to be like, okay, let me go check it instead of me being buzzed. So I find that few things are emergencies. Most things can wait. So I'd be like, okay, maybe sometime in the day for like an hour, I go through my notifications, check out sales, and because not just sales, right? Our organization of package, we have, a lot. So I check my email because I get the notification as emails, and I go to the issues as well and see what's happening. If there's a fire, which there really is, I'd be like, okay, let's start from here. If not, I'll just work on issues that I plan to work on. But if there's like a bug that needs like a quick fix, I'll prioritize that. So it's mostly very calm for me. And then I react when I need to, or I just go with what I created some issues myself because I like working on a project or any part of the stuff I'm working on, starting with an issue first to explain, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is why I want to do it. Then I work with that. So that's actually how it is for me. It's very calm most of the time. Yeah.
Wow. That's great to hear. Mine is not so much because I'm always drowning in GitHub notifications, Twitter notifications, and so on. So I'm glad that you're on top of it. I mean,
Turn them off.
Turn them off. No, they're definitely off. No. I go and check them when I'm ready to go check them. But I just find even if I spend like 12 hours a day, I still haven't gone through the notifications and I still haven't done what I want to do that day. So now I've flipped it around and I do what I need to do first, then do notifications at the end. So it's definitely a challenge. One of the questions that we have, actually there's a few good questions here, but one of the questions that I'll ask first is, have you been through maintainer hell? Nishant, I don't know if you want to elaborate on what that is. For me, maintainer hell is getting too many notifications and just drowning in it. And then just like last year, I spent the whole year, 7 days a week, full time on Biodrop. And we had amazing maintainers, and I still couldn't keep up with notifications, and then it took me away from coding stuff. So, but it seems like Kelvin is not in maintainers hell. I think he's doing well. He's smiling. He's happy.
Yeah.
So that's good. Well, the other question is, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, for sure. So on the sales side of thing, I have Eric, who is part of the core team. He helps with security patches and a lot of our updates. He just works on it. So we work on it together. Then he do the releases and all that stuff. So maintainer hell, I don't think it will work for me because I've studied open source maintainers. I've seen why they burn out, and I sort of like I maybe create like a pattern to not get to that point. Because there's always going to be that issue that everyone thinks is important. There's always going to be that, this should be a quick fix, but you end up spending 2 weeks on it. So I have what I want to work on. I also prioritize issues that come up. But like I said, only few things are emergencies. So I don't know. It's really calm. Maybe I've not gotten there yet. But I doubt that will be the case. Maybe when the Boeing Stack gets a ton of usage, and that will be scary. But I guess we'll see when we see, right?
Exactly. Don't worry about it until it becomes a challenge, right? The problem, the agile way. So no, that sounds good. And then the other question Himang asks is, how can you grow your open source projects? How can you promote them to find contributors?
Oh, wrong person to ask this question to, but I'll give it a shot. So first of all, I don't want my projects, right? I want people who are shipping the projects, first of all, to contribute to it. So the rites of passage to contribute to anything I work on is you are a user, you're shipping this. So there's never a good first issue or something that anyone without context, because like I said, for open source, for you to be a great open source contributor, you must be first a great user. So I don't look for contributors, I look for users. For example, I've had like Augustine, for example, who was like using Next before, I think is in the chat. So after me pushing about the borrowing stack and everything, he'd be like, you know what? I think Next is giving me too much of a pain. Can I try this out? I said, yeah, for sure. He tried it out, he likes it. So Augustine is a potential contributor, but I don't want him to even contribute right now. I don't want him to go ship his product and be massive success. And then he decided, you know what, from my learnings, because you don't even know what to contribute to if you just start really early. So give it a while, use the stuff, out of the way that things work, because they don't really get the context yet. Right? So give it a while, okay? So let it use it. So start using it, and then you can be a contributor if you want to. So that's how I think about it. I get users for the project by talking about it, like in SalesConf in like next month, I'm going to give in a workshop, which will get more people interested who are going to use it. And those people can see their use cases and suggest fixes or new features from informed contextual usage.
No, that makes sense. I think that's that's great that you say that, and then you're giving talks and workshops at events as well. I think that's a great way to create awareness as well. And I know you do a lot of live streams and Twitter Spaces and a lot of I say content creation, but I mean documenting your journey. So I think that's great. And for anyone who wants more maintainer content, I'm actually going to be pivoting my content a bit more from now up until Hacktoberfest and probably beyond. But my goal is to do more maintainer focused content, because having gone through maintainer hell last year and come out the other side, I do want to share on what we learn as maintainers, not just me, but with the team as well. So I've still got lots to learn. I don't know all the answers, but I do want to share kind of what I have learned. So that will be coming out soon in bits and pieces. So yes. Awesome. We've only got a few minutes left. So my last question to Kelvin is, Kelvin, anything else you would like to shout out, to share, closing note you'd like to share with everybody?
Yeah, definitely. So like I mentioned, the workshop I'm giving is going to be happening at SalesConf Africa in May. 2 days, 17 and 18. 17 is workshop day, 2 workshops, mine and another workshop on React. And then day 2 is talk day. So if you're in Nigeria, you're in Abuja, wherever you are, I think it's the only conference you should be looking at technical stuff. So you should definitely be there, because I'm going to be there and a bunch of other people are also going to be there too. And also give the boring stack a try if you're using, because my talk is literally migrating from the MERN stack to the boring stack. That's my workshop. So if you're using MongoDB Express, React, Node, there is no excuse to not use the boring stack, because it's just the same thing, but with more flexibility, more opinionated, and lets you ship really faster. So if you already use MERN, if you're using Next even, or even Nox, I think you could still give it a try, because I moved from Nox to the boring stack myself. So if you want to try MVC, server-centric flow of building an SPA today, give the boring stack a try. And of course, thank you, Eddie, for having me here.
Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time out on a Sunday. And thank you everyone for joining as well. I did share the boring JavaScript Stack repo in the chat. It's also in the description below as well. I've got a few people joining saying, damn, missed it. Don't worry, it will be on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to remove it. I will leave it on there so you can watch the replay. Nishant has one last question. Okay, we're going to sneak in one last question. How does the boring stack work with a mono repo setup like NX?
Yeah, so if you could have a Next.js app in like a mono repo, you could definitely have it the same thing, because it's just a JavaScript project. All right. So I don't use a mono repo. I use JavaScript project as a mono repo. You could definitely have this, because it's just one project. It's not like a SPA and an API, just one. So you could have that set up in your NX, or Yarn workspaces, or any of those other workspaces. Thank you, Graham.
Yeah, Graham always being a bit mean but nice at the same time. I don't know how he does it. Graham, thanks again for supporting. I know we've had some technical issues with Kelvin, unfortunately, but Starlink's coming soon, so Kelvin will have better internet than all of us.
Yes, I'm going to do this again.
Nice, sounds good. Everyone have a great Sunday. I'm glad we stuck to an hour, because I want you all to enjoy your Sunday, whatever you're doing, playing Mario Kart, coding, relaxing, whatever it is, enjoy it. And I look forward to geeking out with you all again soon. Don't forget to go follow Kelvin, because he's doing so much great content and sharing it with the community. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelvin. Have a great Sunday. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Bye, everyone.